Hello and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Today we actually have an opportunity for a launch window that's coming up. I hadn't really planned on sending anything to Moho yet. It's one of the harder planets to do actually because of its inclination and stuff from what I've been told. But we have, according to the Kerbal alarm clock, a window for launch to Moho coming up in about 16 days. So I want to send a couple of launch vehicles up so we're ready for it. We're going to actually send them to the Mun station and gas them up again there so they have a full tank of fuel, and it'll be a little bit less Delta V required to actually leave. So we're actually going to launch the second one first for some reason. It's a little bit funky looking, but I'm trying to get as much stuff crammed into each of these launches as I can. This one has a rover, obviously, with a little sky crane and an ISA map satellite, which the ISA map sat has been causing some issues for me. I have a lot of mods installed, and Kerbal is not as good with memory, it seems, as it used to be. So I want to get this one launched first because the memory tends to kind of fill up and it causes some pretty serious problems. And did it cause problems this time? Nope. Just a little bit of slowdown. Let's make sure that this is not mapping. That is definitely turned off. Okay. Cool beans. And so I set an alarm here, as you see, 16 days, 18 hours. So that's plenty of time to get all this stuff out to the Mun and get it all fueled up and ready to go. So we're just going to go into a pretty basic orbit here. I want to make sure it does not go beyond stage 5. This is set up in a specific way, so I hope I have enough fuel. I actually downloaded from the forum a little map that I keep on my phone that supposedly tells you how much Delta V each launch window requires. Or not launch window, each planet requires. It has stuff like the transfer burn, and then the actual orbit and the landing and stuff. Now, assuming that that's accurate, this should have enough to do everything, but we'll see. Now, fortunately, the game does not care that those rockets are firing right on the supports for those boosters, because that would probably be a problem. I have it doing that because I don't want to have the dead weight of these engines, so I pretty much, if I have an engine, I always do this. The fuel should be transferring from this big main tank. It looks like it is. So, yeah. So that shouldn't be a problem. On this ship, I had to put the docking port for the fuel transfer in a kind of funky place. It's right there. It's a little hard to get the RCS balanced particularly well on this, so docking this might be a little bit of a problem. But I guess we'll see. Ooh, those crashed into each other. Not my problem, though. Didn't blow anything up here, so good luck with that. And it looks like we're going to make orbit probably just fine here. How is our orbit thingy doing here? Every time I get a lag spike like that, I get worried that the game is freezing, because this map sat thing really makes the memory fill up. I don't know where the memory leak is or whatever, but ISA uses a lot more memory than most things do. But it looks like we're fine. Alright, so we have wrapped up our orbit and our transfer burn out to the Mun. Now, whether or not this is going to go particularly well docking, I really can't say. I don't have high hopes because, like I said, this one's RCS is a little bit on the screwed up side, but I'm hoping it will be good enough to get the job done out here. But I guess we'll see in a little bit. Alright, well, we have arrived out here, and the frame rate is, as per usual, not very good. So I'll probably forego including most of this docking because it's at about 8 to 10 frames right now, and I'll just meet you guys when it's docked. If it's docked, I hope it's docked. This thing is going to be, like I said, a challenge to dock, though. Especially with bad frame rate. And I actually decided I'm going to have the little station tug come out and help because, for two reasons. This only has a small docking port on it, and the little station tug can actually act as a, what's it called? An adapter. That's one of the reasons it's here, too. And then, moreover, okay, everything's drifting towards each other. That's a little worrying. Kind of need to go quick here. Where is that docking port? Go, little guy, go. Okay, this is a little bit on the scary side. Don't hit the solar panel. I'm trying to hurry here. Oh, it's just gonna hit. Oh. Pfft. Come on. Come on, man. Get out of there. You're just gonna try that again and again, too, aren't you? Well, let's disengage the autopilot. Drift away. Gets a little hard when stuff starts getting this cramped. Alright, I think we can probably just try this now. There we go. Trying to move quick. I'm not being as careful as I should be because I just want to get this thing all set here. Now this will give it a little bit more RCS power, and it will also give it an ability to actually dock with something here too, which will be good. Since this is facing this way, I might just try to dock it on the bottom of that ship. As long as I'm careful, it should fit. Should work out. Let's monitor our RCS fuel levels here too. Alright, I think I didn't have to hurry quite as much as I thought. Things are not drifting together as quickly as I feared. But they're still scary. Right. No, I would like to control from here. Let's go ahead and set as target. Now hopefully this will work out. I only need to leave a tiny little bit of RCS fuel in this thing when all is said and done. I think for before the next ship comes in, I'm going to separate this from the station also, and probably put it in some sort of parking orbit, because it's already pretty laggy with this here, and it's going to get really bad with another one. This ISA map sat thing really does kind of screw things up. Let's turn off the RCS balancer, I think, right now. Oh, and that's a bad idea. Let's leave that on. Things got a little bit wonky there. So let's also do this just to arrest all the rotation that got imparted there. Alright, docking complete. That noise scared me, but it was just telling me the engines are fired up. Where's that cathane scanner? I want to turn that off. The clicking, the horrible noise is going to drive me crazy. There it is. We've already scanned the orbit pretty much here, so we can deactivate that. I said, please deactivate. When the frame rate gets bad, sometimes it's hard to actually get stuff to do stuff. Well, the nice thing was we actually had a surplus of monopropellant now from this. Transferred all the fuel in, transferred the monopropellant out. So we are good to get out of here if I can find the right docking port to undock. No, not that. Undock. Cool beans. So all we need to do is turn on the RCS. I said turn on the RCS, and we shall gently float away. Wrong way. I always forget which way goes which. Which am I controlling from? I'm going to control from here. It'll be easier. I said N. There we go. We're getting a little bit of a push off. That's all we need is a little bit. And then we can control from here again. Alrighty, we're on our way. I guess we only had one functional RCS port out of all that anyway. Nope, they're all functional. I don't know what's going on with that. They're working strangely. But we're clear, so I'm going to hit the engine just a little bit to boost this away. And I'm going to boost this up to like 100-kilometer orbit or so, and then we'll bring in the other ship. Well, we are departing the station, and we should be out of physics range in a second, which will make things a lot better. We flew over our base down on the surface too, which is kind of neat. Alright, well, we have reached our parking orbit here. Why can I not turn on the SAS? That's odd. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure everything's set up here right. Turn on the lights for a second because we're going to do something kind of fun here. I hope. Is that the right one? Come on, tell me. Tell me. Yes, those are the right ones. So let's go ahead and we're going to save just because things have been crashing. Let's go ahead and eject. I guess I'll have to do them this way. It doesn't want to do it the way I wanted to do it. It doesn't want to stage it, so fine, I'll do it this way. Just kind of want to ditch all the dead weight we can on this thing. And those will just, I don't know, float around out here forever, I guess. So, we're ready to go back to the Space Center and launch the next doohickey. This thing's pretty much fully fueled. We used like 7 from each of these 3 outer tanks, which is just fine with me. We can get rid of, well, I guess we'll put that stage back up there so it'll go away at some point. Alright, so this is our secondary launch vehicle. This is actually going to be the primary one that has the communications that we're going to need. These 3 satellites will put into an orbit around Moho. They'll support future missions as well as this mission. Mainly, they'll support our ability to keep in contact with that ISA satellite because it doesn't have any comms of any sort of significant range on it. So hopefully this will work out, and it should also keep us from having any issues with keeping in contact with that map satellite when it's actually doing its work in the future. So what stage do I want to have to stop at? Stage 3. Stage 3 it is. Engage autopilot already going. Let's go. Alright, and this thing looks a little bit more wobbly, but I'm hoping we'll be okay here. I really don't know. We'll see. Alright, that was a slight malfunction there. Gonna have to go back to the drawing board. I don't know why this one's having problems. Probably because of the wobble. So, yeah. Let's just for the sake of it. Alright, so obviously we're going to need some Separatrons because that was bad. I think it was the solid... I wasn't really even paying that much attention, but I'm pretty sure it was the solid rocket boosters. Now these little decoupler things are actually a lot lower than I would usually mount them. That's probably part of the issue here, so might want to take a second to fix that, but I'm not going to. I'm just gonna brute force a solution here. So if we go like that, will that do the trick for me? I wonder. Now what stage do these need to be moved to? Are they in the right stage? No, they are not. Alright, we'll call that good. Let's see how this works out. Or, well, more Separatrons have been added because we had a little problem with the other stage there, so let's make sure no engines get busted off or anything. I'm about 99% sure it's because of this wobble. I really should have used these decouplers, but I didn't. And I kind of don't feel like rebuilding the rocket, so I'm hoping the Separatrons will make up for the issue here. Alright, that looks like it might work better. I'll have to see how the other stages go here. Alright, so we're coming up on the moment of truth here, I suppose. Oh, that wasn't so great. I wonder if we can still make orbit without those other boosters. I kind of doubt it. Well, I might as well try. Alright, well that answers that question. No, we cannot still make orbit. The wobbles are really the issue here, so I'm going to take a moment to go fix that because I think all the Separatrons in the world aren't going to help. It's just going to stop wobbling so much. Alright, so I've basically just gone with the tried and true Kerbal method of adding about a bajillion struts to it. It doesn't look as pretty now, but I think it will probably be alright now. I even removed the Separatrons because I think it will probably work without them. The other one did, and it just was because it wasn't wobbling quite so much. So, let's see what happens this time. Fingers crossed. Much more stable. That is like rock steady, practically. Well, the first liquid booster detaching in a moment here. We'll see how that goes. Something still collided. Did it matter? It didn't matter, but it might matter the next time. Oh, man. This, maybe I should add Separatrons right to the middle so it shoots him out a little bit more. These decouplers just don't seem to have the force that I'd like to see. Why are we not gravity turning? There we go. That wasn't great, but it didn't break anything. So, we'll just keep going. Alright, and that just broke itself, so I think we're fine now. Well, this looks like it's going swimmingly, so I'll meet you guys out at the space station for refueling. Alright, so we refueled, dropped off the extra RCS fuel, and we are departing the station. Looking forward to getting that frame rate back up again. And we're just going to go put this in the same 100-kilometer parking orbit. And then it's just time to play the waiting game until our transfer window is actually open. Actually, I need to... Well, before I do that, I should make some preparations by pointing some satellite dishes at each other and stuff. So I'll meet you up at the parking orbit. We'll take care of some business there. Alright, so we have reached our parking orbit. I hope this will work, right? It did. We got rid of the extra crap we didn't need. Cool. And so what we're going to do is I am going to point one of these dishes at the other ship. Where is it? Moho Explorer 2. So point one dish at that. That should boost that range up to like 10 million meters or so. So hopefully we'll catch it when we get there. We're going to target... we'll go with Relay Alpha with this one. And Relay Beta with this one. Then I gotta go point those other dishes. And then we just have to wait. So that's all good to go. Another thing that would probably be wise, just because I think we're using... Well, we're still charging fully because of the little side panels, but I'm going to pop one or two of these solar panels out so we have some of the ones that will actually track the sun. Alright, well, I believe all my dishes are now accurately and correctly pointed. I did want to go ahead and, since this seems to be kind of confusing, the situation here, I want to go ahead and actually get out of the orbit of the Mun and back into a Kerbal orbit. So I think what we'll do is just kind of, if I do a burn like here, let's add a maneuver, see what it takes to get out of the Mun's influence here. What kind of orbit does that put me in around Kerbal? A really crazy one. I just barely want to get out of here. I wonder if that matters. I don't want to get caught by min-miss. What if we like scooch this around? That puts me in a lower orbit. I don't want to be in a lower orbit. You know, maybe we can use this to our advantage. Let's use it to our advantage. I mean, that ought to work, right? Some of our RCS tanks floating off there, I guess. Alright, so I'm going to get both of these moved out into a higher parking orbit around Kerbin. And then we'll go ahead and time warp a bunch, and it'll be time to go soon. Well, the time has finally come. The Kerbal alarm clock has gone off, which means that it's time to start plotting our transfers out to Moho. So, I actually ended up having to relaunch the Explorer 2 because the dish that I had on there did not have the range that I needed, and it was already causing problems in the Kerbin system. So there was basically no possible way that it was going to work out. So I just reset that. So, what we need to figure out now, we actually do want the maneuver planner up. And we need to take a look at Moho, figure out how to get there. Now, like I said earlier, I have like a little chart that shows us the Delta V stuff that we're going to need. And allegedly we have enough, according to my calculations. But I guess we won't really know till we try it out. So, I'm trying to think of what the best way to do this plane change is going to be. Let's check out what we can do here. Match planes with targets. Now, how much is... We need to be in the same sphere of influence. So we have to leave the sun. Leave for the sun first, I guess. Alright, well, let's get out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, I guess. We can just... I'm going to do some playing around with some numbers here and see what we can come up with. Well, this looks like a good place to start, I suppose. So let's just execute the node, I suppose, and see what happens here. A little bit nervous. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is my first interplanetary trip, and I think the planets on the inferior side of Kerbin, meaning closer to the sun, are actually a little harder to get to as well. So I'm not real sure how this is going to go, but we'll see. Looks like we got a maneuver node coming up in a little bit here. I think what we'll end up doing is using alarms and what have yous to get all this stuff done. I'm going to get this guy out of here, and then we'll go burn the other one out as well. Alright, so how long is this burn? It's only at 62. That's not much of a burn at all. Alright, well, that's a good start, I guess. Let's hope that this actually works. Alrighty, let's check our results here. Looks like that did indeed work. Okay. So we are going to be leaving Kerbin behind here, which means let's go ahead and save, because again, the game's been crashing a lot because of the ISA map sat thing, and I'd rather not have another incident occur and lose any progress. So let's switch over to this. Hopefully it's going to load. Fingers crossed. Please load right. Alright, that pretty much worked out. Now, of course, if I weren't using maneuver nodes and stuff, I could do all of this kind of just by eyeballing things, but I do want to use maneuver nodes, so, and MechJeb, so kind of gotta do what MechJeb wants to do here. Now, that's not really the way that I want to go. Let's scooch this all the way over here. Come on. Don't be a jerk. Alright, and what has that given us? Pretty good. Let's execute that as well. And then we can start getting our actual transfer set up. So I'll just skip this burn because it's going to be the same as the last one. Well, this dish wasn't causing issues, but without the booster stages and stuff, it weighs like a ton, and it is officially causing some issues, but I'm hoping it won't really matter because of the kind of distance we're going with these maneuvers. It's kind of able to keep track here, but These aren't going to be the most precise burns, so gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. But we're all set to go with that now. Most of these burns we're going to have tons of time to do. The only one I'm really kind of worried about is the slowing down when we get to Moho burn. But what are you going to do? So, where is the one that I want? Is that Moho Explorer? Switch to... Alright, so let's actually escape Kerbal here. Then we can get our maneuvers planned. And I'll start setting up alarms and stuff after this too. Go a little faster here. Alrighty, so we're orbiting the actual sun now. Where are you, Moho? There you are. So, I guess what we want to do is try to figure out how to get this done. So I'm going to mess around with some stuff, see what we can get going here. Alright, well, after a lot of fiddling around, I got a maneuver node that seems to work. Now, I had to actually set this up myself. MechJeb was completely useless, so hopefully it's going to work. It says we're going to end up with a pretty high periapsis, but we'll resolve the rest of that once we get there, I guess. I'm a little bit worried about overshooting, actually. You know what, in fact, let's abort this node execution for just 1 second here and see if we can get this to be a little bit better in terms of the periapsis. Because I don't know exactly what its sphere of influence is, but... well, we lost the encounter. That's still pretty bad. What if we... That's better. Worse. I think I could live with the 2 million that we had there. And we lost the encounter again. This is a fiddly place here. Okay, we're back up to 8. Alright, I'm going to call that one good, actually, because 3 million seems alright with me. We'll fix it further once we get on our little way here. Yeah, hopefully I can recreate that with the other ship. It was not the easiest thing. What's our Delta V situation here? Oh, man. We might not have enough to do all this. Alright, well, it looks like we're coming up on our burn. I'm going to get this burn completed. Then I'm going to go ahead and mess around with the maneuver node for the other ship. See what we can get going. Hopefully they'll arrive at least a couple days apart so that we don't end up with too much going on at once. We'll see. And I'm going to set up an alarm on this ship when the burn's done as well so that it will pause the game when we get into the sphere of influence. I seem to have actually missed the transfer point for this, so we're going to go ahead and just set up a whatchamacallit, another alarm here, and I guess we can just time warp now pretty much. So unfortunately it looks like the first ship's gonna arrive first, which is kind of a pain in the butt because I don't know if this is gonna save my maneuver node. I kind of don't think it will, so that means I'm gonna have to come back and refix my maneuver node. But what are you gonna do? I think the transfer window for Moho is very small because those ships were only a little distance apart and it ended up making a pretty big difference. So I'll have to keep that in mind for the future. I don't know what's going on there. I guess it's just telling me when I have encounters with Moho there. Alrighty, this alarm will hopefully actually work. Yep, it's slowing down the time warp. Cool. And delete. And let's jump to that ship and deal with this. Alright, so I went ahead and made some alterations to the other ship. Unfortunately, it seems like the window for doing this transfer is very small, and I seem to have missed it. I had to actually relaunch a different ship with different dishes on it. You'll see that in a little bit, but Um, basically, we'll get back to that in a minute. Oh, I just want to make sure that all my dishes are still pointed right. And we'll just do that just to double check. So in 23 days, we'll be able to get that maneuver done. So for now, we're just going to focus on this ship. I deleted the alarm because I'm just going to be tracking this myself at this point. So let's do another autosave just because, like I said, the game's been crashing, or a quick save rather. And let's warp on down. Really have to do some serious warpage to get this going here. Alrighty, sphere of influence. Oh, look at this. We're coming in on... We should be able to see Moho pretty soon here. I just want to take a look before we get any closer, see if we can actually see Moho. I don't... Oh, dear God. That's bright. Yeah. I don't know that we can see it yet. We're still kind of far away. It's a little hard to judge the distances here. Okay. Whoa. Easy with the time warp. Easy does it. I'm sure we can probably see Moho now, but I want to pay attention to this and... Come on. How much longer? 2 minutes? I'm so nervous about the time warp. Alright, well here we go. Sphere of influence changed. Okay. Now what is it going to take to circularize this orbit? Do we have the fuel? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to try it though. Hopefully we do. How much? We'll have to keep an eye on the fuel situation. It's not good. So we've just got kind of fumes there. I don't know. What does our Delta V friend here say? I'm not sure I did the most efficient burn possible. It better not be counting on those ion engines. If it's counting the ion engines, then there's no chance this is going to work. Well, there's Moho. That's the first time I've seen it. Please work, burn. We're not really going to know if the burn's going to work until these separate. That will be the clue, I guess. What is this decoupler? Oh, it's already decoupled. Okay. No worries there. I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to accidentally decouple something we didn't really want to be decoupling. Alright, looks good. Alright, so separation's going to be going on in a minute here. Let's watch the fuel levels. And I'm going to be very curious to see what happens to our Delta V at this point. It should go up, I would think, for stage 1 here, I'm hoping. Alright, and... It did! I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, that seems to be working. Alrighty, so I'll be back when this burn completes, and we'll get closer to Moho. Alright, well, we're wrapping up our orbit here, and we're going to have quite a bit of Delta V left to spare. Probably, from the looks of it, what, about 1,800? So that's enough to get quite a few maneuvers done around the planet to get the satellites into ideal orbits. Probably before we do that, we'll be taking care of the burn for getting the other stuff out here to Moho, but I'm really happy. This is the first time I've ever orbited another planet, and it's pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at what we're dealing with here. So we're in a pretty wide and pretty inclined orbit. So what's it going to cost us to fix the inclination to 0? And we'll do it at whatever, one of the ascending nodes. I don't really know which. That's a fair amount of... We do want to do that though. How far away is that? 12 hours? Let's do it. That's still within our time for the next burn. There was not really any way I was going to come in at a good inclination. This planet's like got a wacky orbit going on, so it's a little bit difficult to deal with that. But we'll get this sorted here real quick. And I'm going to get in closer to the planet if there's time as well. That is a big crater. Look at that. That might be an interesting spot to put our rover down on. Solar panels work really, really good out here, by the way. Like in the previous thing, because we're close to the sun. Well, they're all shaded now. I put them away while we're burning, because I don't like leaving them out when I'm burning, because I've had the ship jiggle enough that it breaks stuff. So generally when I burn, I put away any of those foldable solar panels. We have a lot of battery power on this thing anyway. Let's watch this happen here. It's always scary when that happens, because, oh god, are we going to die? But I wonder if it would have been more efficient to do it at the others and the descending node. I don't really know. We actually just reverse directions? I don't know. I don't suppose that really matters that much, but... I might have wanted to do that at the descending node instead. But the important thing is we're in a much better orbit now. Alright, so we still have almost 4 days. Let's take a look at what we can do to lower this orbit just a little bit. We got our apoapsis is either, I think we just 12 hours versus a day. Yeah, so we're going this way. I guess we did reverse our direction. So what if we change our apoapsis? What if we change that to, let's say, what would be a good orbit for this? Like, let's say like 3,000? What does that look like? Oh, it won't let me do that. So, well, let's try changing. Oh, it's not letting me do that because, I don't know. Where's, say 3,000 for both. And we will... see what happens. That's going to be really inefficient, though. Alright, that's barely closer than we are now. But that should make it kind of easy to get good coverage, and I can bring the satellites in a little bit further. Let's try that. That takes almost nothing. What would it take to get into like a fairly low orbit? Like 500 kilometers. That is well within the range of what we can do. And I think if our satellites should probably be able to do that. That's 1 day, 4 hours away. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh god, it's going crazy. That was my bad. Alright, let's get a... This will get us a better look at the planet, too. I am very interested in that large crater. We're going to get that ISA satellite going and stuff, too. So this actually bodes really well for the other ship, because I'm pretty sure this one was heavier and I did a less efficient burn. Well, I haven't done the burn yet, but I learned something from the burn I did, so I'm hoping I will do a more efficient burn. Wow, that is bright. Does not take much to change my altitude out here. That's really good. That actually bodes really well for the whole mission for the other thing, because I was a little worried about the rover having enough delta V to land on its own, but I'm pretty sure we'll have some fuel left over in the main rocket to use for the braking as well. I think this planet actually has like a fairly large amount of gravity. It's not a small planet. It's small-ish, but it's bigger than the Mun. And we shall now create our node. So what are we looking at here? Perfect. And that's 7 hours away, so that's still well within our time before we have to pay attention to the other ship. And we're going to be orbiting pretty dang close now. Alright, so yeah, we're coming up on our burn here. I actually have no idea what this planet's orbital period is, like, really anything about it. I think the ISA MapSat wiki thing will tell me stuff about it. Should probably figure that out. Why does mech-jeb control keep getting turned off? I don't want mech-jeb control turned off. The signal delay is ridiculous out here. I don't want to be dealing with that. Mech-jeb is pretty important when you're dealing with these kind of distances, because burning this would not, especially landing, when we get to the landing point, that would be ridiculous to try to do with like a minute and almost 2-minute delay here. Alright, so I think we're just going to let this thing be for now in this orbit here. I'll probably boost it up into a elliptical orbit at some point, and we'll get these satellites going and stuff. But we have other business that still needs to be attended to, so I'll be back once we get the other ship on its way out here. Alright, well, we are wrapping up the encounter burn, the transfer burn here, for the second craft. As you can see, I had to launch a different one. This ended up taking a lot longer. I think the other ship's probably been in orbit of Moho for like a month now. The reason is that I had a dish mounted down here, but it was too unbalanced. So I had to put these two dishes up at the top. These ones are actually lighter. The two of them combined weigh as much as that other one. And it balances the weight better so that it can thrust in a straight line. So that seems to have alleviated most of our issues. This was actually an extremely efficient burn that I did. I got about 2,200 delta V to get this encounter, which I believe is about as good as I'm going to get. So I've learned a lot about transferring out to Moho, which is good because Moho is a little bit challenging compared to other places, but it seems to be working just fine. We're wrapping up the burn here, so I will meet you at the Sphere of Influence of Moho again. So you can see this is a kind of time-consuming route that we're taking here, but it seems like it's going to work out, and it's probably not exactly the most efficient, but it seemed to be, because 2,200 delta V is not bad. I didn't do any inclination change at all. We crossed under the orbit, which kind of makes sense because Moho's in such an eccentric orbit. Alright, we're coming up on our encounter here. Why does it say I have a collision now? Alright, hold on. We gotta make an adjustment here. Which way do we want to burn to fix this? Maneuver nodes are not always the best. Alright, that's not gonna do it. Let's remove that node. I think I probably need to burn that away. There we go. Let's do that just so we don't have to. It's cheaper to do it out here, I think, than it will be when we get closer. So Let's take care of a little course correction here. Yeah, 14 meters per second. That is very affordable. I'm getting a lot better at this interplanetary stuff. It kind of makes sense once you get used to it. And like I said, I think Moho is supposed to be one of the harder planets to deal with. Alrighty, so we should be good to go now. Let's go ahead and actually switch over to the sphere. Time warp still makes me nervous, though. I don't want to go careening off into a solar orbit again here. Alright, slow it down. Nice and easy. And what the heck just happened? Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get into an orbit here. That ought to work out. 4,000 delta V. I guess we came in a little bit hot. Holy moly. Well, that might be a little bit of an issue. I think the ship can do it, but that's a lesson learned. Well, we are getting awfully close. Maybe I should have gone for a wider orbit first. Eh. Let's actually take a second. We have some time until we get to periapsis. Let's mess around with some numbers here, because that is craziness. Yeah, because we're just whizzing right by the planet is what it is. That's as good as we're going to do. That makes sense. I thought I was getting better, but, well, we learned another lesson here. If we'd come out, like, farther over here, that probably would have made this a lot easier. Actually, I wonder if it's too late to make an adjustment like that. Like, do something like this. I go for, like, a 750 or so. Execute that, because that's still fairly cheap to do that. And then we could try to get the orbit circularized, see if that makes a difference. I don't know. Damn you, Moho. I think, if anything, that might have made it a little bit worse, because now we're going faster and we're going to be in a higher orbit. So I don't know. We should have the fuel to get this done, I think, still. So I guess we'll just see what happens here. We might not have as much fuel as I'd hoped. I wanted to have some fuel left in this stage to assist with the landing. Not sure that's going to be the case, but I guess we'll see in a little bit. Alright, well, we're going to be coming up pretty soon here on separating the next stage. I guess these things are just going to be stuck in some crazy solar orbit, but that's fine with me. I don't really care about solar orbits. Let's get ready to do this. Hopefully it'll go off without a hitch. And a couple more seconds. There we go. And fuel out. And nice. Look at them go all majestically. And it looks like we should have about 1,000 delta V left over with this one too. So actually that worked out to be about the same delta V budget by the end. I think the other one had about 800. This one looks like it's going to have about 1,100 left or so. So I was still a little bit more efficient, I guess, but cool beans. So I'll be burning and burning and burning and burning and burning. Alright, so we're finishing up the burn here. We have 2 things in orbit of Moho. Yay! So the first order of business is going to be to get the communication satellites up in their orbit. Now, I'm not going to record that whole process because it's probably going to be very long and time consuming because it's going to involve ion engines, but we'll call it good enough. It's not exactly a perfect orbit, but again, we'll call it good enough. And just let that finish up. But it's here safe and sound. That's what counts. And we'll just let this be for now. So where is my other ship? There it is. Come on. There we go. Alright, so I gotta give this some thought so I don't end up accidentally losing communications with Kerbal. Which one of these? This one's pointed at Kerbal, this one's pointed at Kerbal, and that one's pointed at the other ship. I guess I can't accidentally lose communication because the other ship has 2 satellites on it right now too. So what sort of distance do I want to put these in? The orbit that we're in right now is not too bad. I think I want them to be in maybe like a 750 kilometer orbit. So we need to boost this apoapsis up to 750. We'll leave the periapsis down. So let's go ahead and change apoapsis to 750 kilometers at the next periapsis. What does that require out of us? 15 meters per second. That is very doable. So let's go ahead and execute that node. And then we'll get to deploy one of the satellites once we get into this orbit, and then I'll start figuring out everything else from there. Alright, so we're doing the teensiest, tiniest little burn here, and once this burn's done, we'll deploy the first of the satellites out into its new orbit. And then I'll have to do phasing and stuff to get them roughly distributed a third of the way around the planet. It's kind of important that they actually are a third of the way around the planet due to the fact that I don't have any other backups. So that one, let's go ahead and stop the wobbliness first. Let's go ahead and extend one solar panel until we're clear of the ship. That way if one of them collides, it won't matter really. And yay! Look at it. It's majestic. I am a sucker for decoupling of things. I don't know why, but it's one of my favorite things in this game. So, there we go. One of our first interplanetary communication satellites. So, we need to go ahead and circularize this orbit. This is going to be the basis for everything else. So, what is our inclination and stuff? Let's bring up orbit info. Alright, perfect inclination. And let's go ahead and circularize at the next apoapsis. Create the node and execute said node. Is the ion engine active on this? Probably not. Hold on, hold on, hold on. There we go. Execute the node now. That thing actually looks kind of cool, I must say. So how long is this burn going to take? It's 47 meters per second, but with this frigging ion engine, that could be a minute or two. We'll see. And are we burning? Not yet. There we go. Oh, that's not too bad. Less than 2 minutes or so. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, get the other satellites deployed, and I'll be back. Alright, so our 3 satellites are in good enough orbits for now. I'll probably adjust this one to be more like here or so. But they're in good enough orbit for now. They should be able to see around the planet, see each other. Yeah, they'll be able to see around the planet and see each other. So, what we need to do now is get rid of some of our junk, which will be fun, because we're actually going to crash something into a new planet, which will be our first time encountering, like literally encountering Moho. So, let's see, what do we like the looks of on Moho to crash into? This planet barely even rotates, it seems. I've been here for a while and it really doesn't seem to rotate that much. I kind of want to crash into that crater area there if I can. Wrong way. Let's like try to get the ridge of that crater, and I'm probably gonna move this ever so slightly just because I don't know what the orbit's gonna do. Let's call that good. How much delta V does this require? The rocket ain't got too much left, but it's got 300 left. It's definitely got 300 left. So let's go ahead and execute. So we should be able to stay in contact. This only has the little dipole antenna on it, but I believe the relays are working now. This will be a good test for that too. See if everything's actually functional. How far separated are we from things? Kinda. Well, we're relaying off that, I guess, but I think it'll work. Haven't set up a relay system around another planet yet. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but just because it takes so long to get stuff here, if I screw something up, it's kind of a big deal. Alrighty. Now, it's going to be executing in a second here. But I kind of want to check. Yep, looks like we are on track for hitting that crater area. I think we might actually set up a space station out here. Maybe even a base on the planet. I haven't decided. I like Moho. It's got a nice view of the sun. And it's hard to get to in a way, but it's kind of rewarding too. So, might come back to this. Probably not right away, but at some point. Now we're actually going to follow this down to the surface because I want to see what it looks like down there. Get a nice up-close view of Moho. And by up-close, I mean smack into it. We're going to be landing a rover at some point, and I think what we'll probably do with that is either go to the north or the south poles, because that would keep us out of the direct sunlight. So if we're going to set up a base down there, that kind of makes sense to do it that way to me. It won't let me time warp. Oh, because the maneuver thing is still going. Abort the node. Oh dear God. And I get some shots because this is my first time seeing it up close and personal. Oh wow. That was kind of weird how the texture's loaded in there. So it's kind of bland and featureless, isn't it? Where's the angle of the sun from here? I want to figure out. We're kind of near the equator, so it must be like, yep. This is probably the hottest part of the whole friggin' planet right here. Alright, wind. I guess we'll get an idea of the surface. Oh, that's kind of a cool little mountain over there. I like that. First collision with something outside of the Kerbal system. And how far did that go flying? Well, that's not very flat there. It looked featureless, but it's not. Did everything just blow up? I guess everything just blew up. Alrighty, well, that little mountain's kind of cool. So, what we need to do now is go back to... Where's my ship? There it is. Yeah, that's fine. The flight ended. Oh, I guess it finally crashed or something. Okay, so back to Moho Explorer 2. So the first thing we really need to do is get the ISA satellite into a mapping kind of orbit. Now, this planet rotates really slowly, so I'm worried about if I'm in a low orbit, that's not going to help. A higher orbit is probably better. I think we might just go for like a... What orbit is this in? I think I might just put him in the same distance, like 750 kilometer... Yeah, 750 kilometer orbit. But it needs to be at 90 degrees, and I think I'm going to be landing this on the poles anyway. So we are going to swap our inclination over to be 90 degrees. Inclination 90 degrees. We will do that at the next ascending node. So what are we looking at for the requirements here? Alright, how much does the rocket have left? This ought to work just fine. Okay, let's do it. Let us do it. I actually changed my mind. We're going to do an 85 degree instead, because I think that will probably work better with the slowness of the planet, because we'll get a little bit of movement just from the satellite orbiting. Maybe I should even go with 80. I don't know. We can always adjust the orbit a little bit with the ion engines once we get up there. Just want to get the majority of this done this way. Hopefully still have enough to crash the spent stage. Was that it? Well, damn, she's out of fuel. I did not realize the fuel situation was that bad. It's counting that as being some of our Delta V, I think. So that's not really acceptable. Well, crud. I guess what we'll have to do then is let's remove the node. And we're gonna just deploy the satellite and get this done with ion power the rest of the way, I hope. And everything... Are there still solar panels on this thing? Yes, there are. Okay. I just wanted to make sure before I left that we had solar panels. I think there's an RTG. I put an RTG in there too, so it'll be fine. Just wanted to make sure we weren't going to run out of power while we were dealing with this. Alright, the engine is already active. Let's just ease away there. So, I'm going to take some time and get this into its orbit, and I will be back. Because ion engines take forever. Alright, so I actually had to launch a replacement version of this to get everything functioning right, but it is all working right now. I have these dishes pointing at the other ships in orbit, the other probes in orbit, rather, and we have communications now in the whole system, and everything seems to be working right. So now we can try to go ahead and... Which one of these is the one that I want? This one? Yeah, the inclined one. We can try to go ahead and land that rover. I'm a little bit concerned about the fuel situation, to be perfectly honest. It's not the best right now, but we're going to try it anyway. We came all the way here, so let's decouple that. That noise always scares me. And let's bring up our resources so we can kind of keep an eye on things. So we don't have tons of fuel, but we are going to get rid of these dishes here too, because we don't need those. Alright, so let's go select a landing site that's kind of on the light side of the planet and kind of under our orbit, kind of. So, I mean, somewhere like that looks pretty good, because we can get base areas scouted out. It's either going to be the North or the South Pole, so I'm not real sure. What is our Delta V situation with this thing? Theoretically, I think we have enough, but I don't know. So let's call that area right. Actually, let's go for the little flatter area. I can drive over there. Let's call like that area our target, and let's see if we can actually get this thing to do this. That's going to be quite a descent, don't you think? Whatever. Are the engines not? No, the engines are active, okay. Alright, well, that didn't take too much to get that much done, at least. Looks like... Alright, I think we got this. As long as we can slow down, I think we are in good shape. I'm going to get my Delta V up. I believe, according to what I've seen, it takes around 2,000 to actually land on Moho. Now, we've done the deorbiting. Are you done? What the hell are you doing? That's annoying. Are you freaking done with your... It doesn't have to be pinpoint, it just has to be pretty good. Okay. Now you're just wasting fuel. Let's call that good enough. Is it just going to be firing the engines like this the entire time? Because that's going to be fairly irritating if it does it that way. Alright, so what are we doing now? Can I adjust my tolerances here? Okay, we're good. We're good. I think it was having trouble doing the burn because we're still kind of going up. So... Let's see what happens. That is weird looking. That I've heard there's like a bottomless pit basically on Moho. That must be it there. Because that looks weird. Now this crater here looks like it would probably be protected from the sun most of the time. We'll have to scout out a couple of these craters and see what we get out of them. Let's go ahead and... We're going to hit the lights when the time warping is done. Because it is a little bit dark up here. The general idea is if we're going to build a base of any sort here, I don't want to be in the direct sunlight. We can survive up here probably, but not down lower. Alright, this is making me nervous. Okay, let's get those lights on. Will we pull this off? I was careful about my delta V calculations, so with any luck it will be accurate enough. We should probably turn on some of this stuff just so we're getting information if we crash. I know there's no atmosphere, but I put one of these on just to make sure, because I've never been here. And there we go. So we'll at least get some data back from this. I think we might land this. Oh man, we're getting close to the ground. We're getting very close. We need more thrust. We're gonna do it. Thank you, MechJub. I don't like the engines firing like that. It makes me uncomfortable. Alright, I think we got this. Landing on a foreign planet is awesome. Even though it kind of looks a lot like the Mun, but... Nice view of the sun from here. Yay, we survived. Well, yeah, we're gonna survive this. It's actually not a very... Oh god, maybe we didn't survive this. I was about to say, it's not a very flat landing surface, and then that happened. It's alright, we got this. What's the best way to handle this? I don't really know. The game's gonna autosave on me here in a minute, I bet, too. I just want to roll over nice and easy, easy, easy. Don't want to break stuff. Why'd we have to land on a stupid hill? Alright, this is better. A little bit better. Urgh. I always have rover issues. So let's get rid of some of this extraneous stuff here. So we actually had a lot of Delta V left too. Okay, that's dangerous. That is clearly dangerous. Just trying to go. Okay, that's not gonna work. Well, maybe. I'm gonna deploy the wheels so maybe we can land on the wheels. All right, that's not helpful. Come on. If I decouple this, I can probably do this. Woo! Don't blow up. Please don't blow up. And there we go. Wheels are definitely getting deployed. Brakes are definitely going on. Brakes. Okay. Cool. Rover has made it. We can go get rid of this thing now. So how are we going to do this? Does it still have communications? I don't think this thing has any comms on it, does it? No, it doesn't. So that thing is just going to live there forever. That's fine. It will memorialize our first landing site. So I'm going to go drive around on Moho a little bit and see if we can find somewhere that looks suitable. I wish I hadn't landed on this giant mountain. Alright, so it's actually nighttime here, as you can see, because I went and took care of some other stuff that you'll see in another episode. I'm just going to basically be roving around on Moho for a while. I don't like how the headlights do that. It's very annoying. Sometimes when we're on a hill, headlights get all screwed up. So roving at night is a little bit hard here. But, Yeah, I don't know. This seems like it might be an alright area. If I can find somewhere flat to set up a base up here, I think we might look into this area. So, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.